Hey everyone, this is Larry here at LC Model Shipbuilding, and in this episode we're continuing our work on the Bismarck battleship, and we will be working on our uh, our main gun turrets. So they're the 380 millimeter, and putting the details on them and getting them set. So thank you very much for tuning in, and let's get started. Okay, so these are our turrets here, and these are our barrels. So these are the aluminum ones that come with the KA set. Now, what I'm going to do with these, oh, and then these are the bags that go basically on there. What I'm going to do with these, first I'm going to install the photo etch that goes on them. I did consider getting the 3D printed ones, but honestly the rivet work in these are actually quite good, and once I add the PE onto it, I think it's going to be perfectly fine. So I'm not too concerned with this. These are actually pretty decent, so yeah, I don't really see a need to spend the money on the 3D. But what we're going to do, like I said, is set up our photo etch and get that on first, and then I'm going to start the painting. Now, these, in the rendition that I'm doing, which is early March of 41 in keel with the Baltic stripes, the two guns that are furthest aft and furthest to the bow are red topped, and then the barrel, essentially where it rides over here, will also be red. So this part here. Then the sides are a very dark gray, so I'm going with a different color than the hull. It's a little bit darker than the hull. And then these are the light gray that we've been using on the Superstructure already. So that's essentially what the paint scheme will look like. These might be actually somewhat complex, just with how much PE's on it and how many different paint shades I'm kind of trying to go with, so should be kind of fun. But anyway, I'm gonna get my PE out and get it ready to get started, and yeah, I'll be back. Okay, so the turrets have their own piece of brass here, and that's designated as TU, so that is that. And essentially they have their own section in the directions on how to do this. So they're telling me to build 8 of these, 28 of these. Well, that you don't really build, but yeah. 2 of those. So all of these I'm going to probably build ahead of time, and then work on putting them together from there, because then it gives the directions down here on where to put them all. So our first one is 13, 15, 16, 18, which makes not a heck of a lot of sense, but oh, I understand. So 13 is that. So what it's telling us to do, and why it's having us build them ahead of time, is that you have to bend out the little footing underneath it. I do want to use something white underneath here, just because it's easier to see. So we essentially just are going to cut this out. And these, I can already tell this is going to be extremely fragile, which does worry me for the tape off later, but I'm sure we'll be okay. I mean, I made it with the Superstructure, so okay, so 13, and looking at the directions, goes on the back side right here. It looks like it goes on the top. So what we have to do with this is bend the footing on it with a very small foot on just this side, it looks like. But I see it in other. Okay. So it wants us to bend the little foot right here. I'm going to just kind of get it closer so you can see how this works. So those little things sticking off there are little feet that have to get bent so you have a glue mount point, basically. So we're just going to take our tweezer and bend it up. Now, if I were building all of these separately, I would probably just start to build a pile, but I don't want to mix up what each one is. So I'm going to go ahead and install each one of these as I'm going, just so I don't turn this into a mess, because that could get bad quickly, I do believe. Alright, so let me get some glue on here. I kind of bent that a little bit, so I want to fix that. Okay, and that basically comes right here. I want to go just under the line. I did bend that just a little bit there with my tweezer, so I gotta try to fix that. But I want to go just under the line so that when it comes taping time, I don't have to mess with affecting the PE. That's kind of my hope anyway. Okay, so okay, I was worried that was going to happen when I bumped that. I'm going to have to re-glue. These are a challenge because you can't even really see which side is the top and which side is the bottom that you bent. It's just a very, very fine rail. I'm just trying to straighten that out a little bit again so it sits more of how it's supposed to. Since stupid me hit it with my tweezer. Okay, I'm going to try to get that to stick first, and then I'll come back and do the back section there. And I am going to put just a tiny bit of glue right around the footing. It should blend in once it's painted, but I want it to have a little bit of stability on here. I want this one to stick so I can hit my back there. I could use accelerator, but I don't want to dry back here, so I'm kind of stuck here waiting for a second. You gotta be kidding me. I'm gonna have to use accelerator. Okay, so as you can see, I actually do a fair amount with PE, and this is starting off to be a real challenge already, so, you know, be aware if you're going to go with the KA set. I mean, it will give you great detail, but just know what you're getting yourself into. Okay, looks like we got it. I'm just going to give that a little bit of glue. It dropped off anyhow, or came back off anyhow. Alright, there we go. So now you can see it there in the against the white. So now we need piece number 15, which is right here. And I'm just going to basically work my way around the turret with these. The good thing I do find, though, usually once I do one item like this, I'll kind of get a feel for it, and then the next ones tend to be okay. So we shall see. Okay, so same thing here. We're going to bend our feet, and I'm obviously not going to film the entire process of putting these on, all four of them. I just wanted to kind of show it on the first one. Okay. So now this would go this way. And basically follow right along. It looks like that'll be fine. So we're going to dip our glue. Sorry, I'm not talking. I know it might be boring. But like I said, I'm only going to show probably this one here, and then I'm going to pause it and come back once we're putting on something else, because these are going to be tedious as heck. And again, I'd like to use accelerator, but I only have two hands and one of them's holding this right now, so kind of stuck. Alright, there we go. So I'm going to do the same thing and just put a dab of glue on the footings, just to give it that little bit of added support. And then I'll hit it with the accelerator probably again. Okay, so there you go. You can see what these look like right along there. Very, very tedious. So I'm going to pause it and I'll be back. Okay, so I have the brass on all of the rails here at this point. Hopefully that focuses. I'm getting ready to put the next set on. So we got our ladder here, we got our brass going along here, got our brass going along the top here, and our brass going along there. So next up is piece 4 and 5 and 6. So we're going to cut that out real quick, and we'll get them glued on. So while I'm cutting, I'll go ahead and pause it, because that's kind of boring. Okay, so those brass pieces are actually for later. They're for the 110 or 150 gun, I believe. Yeah, 150 mil gun. So I'm going to just save them over to the side. I did go ahead and pull the barrels out. Now, in the directions, it has you set your barrels so they can actually move. These do not move, so that's the one thing. So I'm going to have to paint these before I go and glue that all together. I did just put the doors on the back here from the kit, and since this is gun 1, we don't have any what do you call it, the side pieces. Are they rangefinder? I forget, but anyway, we're going to put our pieces on that are basically just caps for it. And then that actually just about finishes this gun, aside from the ring that goes around on the bottom, which I'm going to do off camera because that's going to be a challenge. That is literally just another piece of rail, like the ones that I just did, that go all the way around the loop of this. So I don't even want to attempt that on camera. But regardless, it has to go on, and the kit actually provides one too. So these gun upgrades are actually not significantly better than the kit from KA. Trumpeter actually does a pretty nice job with it, but these are finer detail when it comes down to it. So they go on, and then we have N11, which are these two, and I do believe these are the periscopes. And aside from that, the only other piece that goes from the kit is the base. Okay, so what we're going to do then for the next part of the video is I'm going to tape off everything that's getting painted. Well, no, scratch that. I'm going to paint the light gray first, and then I'm going to tape off the dark gray here and then the red up here. So let me pause it. Oh, and yeah, that's kind of what they will look like. I mean, granted, they're not going to stick in there until they're glued, but you can kind of get an idea. So anyway, I'll be back. Okay, so here we go. We got our turret. It's painted up in its 3 different shades. We've got the darker gray, lighter gray, and, excuse me, the red. So what we're going to do now is take 2 of our bags here, and we're going to get them ready to go onto the barrel. And I am going to touch up paint just a tiny bit here before I put it on. Obviously you can see that it's missing a little bit of the white over here on the inside, but being that these were like a fabric type thing, I don't even think brush strokes will be that big of a deal. So do a tiny touch up here and we'll get that on. And I'm using off-white on this, not pure white. It's pretty close, but not quite. So just gonna run the brush up here a little bit on those spots. It should dry pretty much just how I need it to. And this paint dries fairly quick, so I shouldn't even really probably have to pause it, because by the time I get this one done, that'll be almost dry. Okay, so now what we have to have happen here is our barrel goes through this, comes down to the end just like that, and then it will go right into its hole there. I just want to make sure that I am at the same length with both of them. So I'm going to line that up here. And yeah, I'd say we're pretty close here. So now what we're going to do is just take a little bit of glue around the hole here. Now, I know I will probably get comments on Facebook. Not so much on YouTube, but on Facebook I'll get comments that the bags were not on Bismarck in the paint scheme that I'm doing, and I get that, and I'm fully aware of it, but the fact that I'm using the KA barrels, I don't really have an option not to use the bags, so I kind of have to use it. So to you purist out there, sorry, it is what it is. But I know I will get comments, because I've gotten comments on things that I can't even believe I've gotten comments on, but okay, and they look pretty straight. I feel pretty good. So I'm gonna pause it here, and then this video I'm gonna continue doing more turrets. So we're gonna have the next set that go here, and I already put the barrel on this one, but basically that sits like that, and it has the red barrel so that it kind of blends in with this. So yeah, we're gonna continue, but let me pause it for now and I'll be back. Okay, so on the last turret, I did not show the piece that goes around the bottom. So essentially what I'm doing for this is basically getting a little bit of glue, and I'm starting it at the back here so you won't see a seam line, and I'm just kind of getting it on there to stick. Like that until it came off. Basically just getting it on there. And I lost my glue. Okay, once you got a spot stuck like that, I found the easiest way to do this was then basically just run my glue around in not quite quarters, but about a quarter of the way around the circle, and then just pull it down on here, hold for a minute, and then continue on forward. Can't talk. So now we'll put glue along here. And this would be essentially the same whether you're using the KA set or the kit, because both of them have this ring around the bottom here, and this would be basically where the turret goes into the barbette. There we go. So this would be Bruno turret, which would be the second one back. So Bruno and Cesar, or Caesar, we're gonna say, would be basically the same build. So I won't even bother showing that one when I actually put it together. And then Dora is the last one, which would be the fourth funnel, or not funnel, sorry, the fourth turret, and I will show that one as we're getting it put together, and then I'll basically just show them all together on the deck, because no sense in just re-showing the exact same thing over and over again. Once I get this on, I'll pause it, and then it's going to be time to paint this. And And then once it's painted, I'll come back on video and show you the barrels, which are the ones that have the red on them. And then we'll move on to the Dora gun from there, which is very similar to the front one. So I can tell Bismarck is going to be done sooner than, very well sooner than I originally anticipated. Like, I planned on this being like a whole winter project, and it's moving a lot faster than I ever anticipated. So the plans from here out, after Bismarck is done, we're going to do a short build of the USS Olympia, which is a Revell kit that I picked up on eBay. It's an old kit, but I've been on the ship. It's not far from me in Philadelphia, so it seemed like kind of a cool one to build, and I want to have it, I just basically want to put it on my desk in my office. So it's not a big build, but I will still probably end up lighting it, and you know, I'll end up doing some photo etch on it and kit bashing, I'm sure, but we'll make it look pretty. So we're gonna do that, and then I have a kind of a sponsor build for a show that I'm gonna be doing of a Klingon Kronos 1. So I'll be putting that together, and that's going to be lit up with sounds and all kinds of fun stuff. And then probably the Arizona build will come next in 1/200. So that's kind of what the upcoming future looks like. Now we have pieces 10 and 7 that go on our directors here. 10. So these are basically just a door, it looks like. Okay, and piece number 7, let me get that, and then I'll pause it and start painting. So this gun does not get any of the, shoot, I cut out the wrong piece. This gun does not get any of the red paint on top. This one stays dark gray, basically from the midline up, and light gray on the bottom half. So painting will be a little bit easier because it's only 2 colors versus 3. Okay. All right, so I'm going to paint this up and I will be back. So for the rear guns, I went ahead, and what I'm going to do here is try painting the plastic parts before I put the photo etch on, and then paint the photo etch after I put it on. Or not after I put it on, but like on the sprue, and then just touch it up once I put it on. They just pose a fairly good challenge when it comes to getting them on and then painting to tape it off and all that kind of stuff. So I think this is going to work a little bit better, so I'm going to go that route. In the meantime, I started working on the little life rafts that go on the aft superstructure, And just to get the little rope line there on the top one, I just took a little bit of black and dry brushed it on, and then I filled in the center with a little bit of tan. So these basically stack on here in sets of 3. So the lower ones, I didn't really bother doing much by way of painting for the inside or for the rope line, because you can't really see it at all. So basically we're just gonna glue that on, and then we'll glue the one above it right onto it until we get up to the third one that is painted, and they seem to be fine. So that is basically how I'm handling these. And then we have the rafts that kind of go onto the side of the ship, and they're here and here. The first couple, I didn't actually realize exactly what I was doing with them, so I glued the holder that glues onto the superstructure to the raft already. So I'm gonna have to just kind of paint that by hand, but it's very small. You can barely even see it. It's just that little gray strip there. Now the other ones I'm obviously painting separate and gluing on, and then putting the raft on from there. But I'll put these ones in a more inconspicuous spot, kind of along the top of the tower there where they belong. So this is one that I painted, so that's going to go on top here. And there we go. So got 2 of them, and I got 1 more to build, because the aft superstructure area takes 3 of them. So we'll get them put on while I'm waiting for the turret Caesar and Dora to dry. So Caesar gets the same paint as the last one that we were doing, which is the dark gray on top, and then Dora gets the red again, just like the first one, which was what is that, Anton. So I'm just gonna glue these on, and I'll pause it and do some tape off work for the turrets, and I'll probably go ahead and glue these on quick onto the superstructure, which not anything special to see. It's just two little tabs that glue down onto the deck, so I don't necessarily need to video that part, but yeah, I'll get them on, and then we'll put our barrels on the turrets and probably wrap up this video. So time is flying along. Okay, there we go. So, yay. All right, let me pause it and I will be back. Okay, so finished product. Essentially here is where we're at now. We got all 4 of our main artillery guns on, and pretty excited with how they're looking. They definitely make the ship look a whole lot meaner, quicker. Superstructure is not on right now, so that doesn't quite line up perfect, but yeah, you get the idea. But you can see the red barrels coincide with the red on the tops here. The secondary guns will all be dark gray on top, so I haven't decided yet if that's going to be my next process or if the catapult will be the next, but I'll make a decision here as we go into the next video. So it's pretty much going to wrap up this video. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we will see you here next time on LC Model Shipbuilding.